It's always a pleasure to come back to Bandar Utama because this is where I spend most of my time in the early years of my practice. We started in BU 11, and from then onwards, moved over here. And it's always an honor to be called back again to do some service, now that I'm retired. At the moment now, I'm a traveling salesman, going from center to center every Sunday, selling a product. And this product is called the Dhamma. Today we are going to speak on a very important topic, and that is the gist and the crust of our Buddhist practice. We are all students of the Buddha's teachings and practitioner of the ways and philosophies of the lives that we lead as a Buddhist. And most importantly is to understand what the Dhamma stands for and how it molds ourselves, how it shapes our lives. It is not just merely preparing ourselves for our final days. It is also a way to train, discipline, and practice in order to live a fulfilled, a happy life, a well-nourished life, and at the same time, be well and happy. Now, a lot of us always have this classification of ourselves as either a Mangala Buddhist or a Karma Buddhist. In the sense that every time when we talk about the Dhamma, we always say, wow, we must go and get blessings. So we go to many places to try and get blessings. Especially if you have a venerable here who is doing blessing, and you will definitely be here. Then there's another type of Buddhist, we call it the Dana Buddhist. They go and do Dana, thinking that that is the only way to serve and to practice the Buddha's teachings. Of course, lastly, we call it the Karma Buddhist, who says everything is due to karma. If you are successful in life, must be my good karma. If you face some problems in life, must be my bad karma. And so you blame it all on karma, not on yourself. So today we are going to talk about a very important potential that we all have, which we are going to utilize, and we have been taught to utilize it to the fullest as a practitioner of the Buddha's teaching. This question was asked, what is mind? No matter. Then what is matter? Never mind. Because it's quite difficult to understand what is mind. Now we all know that in the first verse of the Dhammapada, the Buddha mentioned that mind is the forerunner of all states. Mind is chief. Mind made are they. If one speaks or acts with a wicked mind, because of that, suffering one, even as the wheel follows the hoof of a dove ox. Second verse of Dhammapada again says, mind is the forerunner of all states, mind is chief. Mind made are they. If one speaks or acts with a pure mind, because of that, happiness follows one, even as one shadows that never leaves. Mind is chief. In other words, actually everything revolves around the mind. Your mind and each individual mind. Now we have to talk about what is the mind. Then we must understand what are we composed of. We are all human beings, which is one of the realms of existence according to the teachings of the Buddha. There are altogether 31 planes. We are human realms or human beings. And human beings comprise of what we call the combination of the 5 khandhas, or we call it the 5 bundles of energy. Khandhas means bundles of energies. And maybe we just refer it to the 5 aggregates. Then what is mind? Mind comprises of 4 of the aggregates, and the body comprises of 1 of the aggregates. So the mind in the Dhamma or in the Pali terminology is called Nama, and the body is called Rupa. So it sounds very familiar, isn't it? Rupa. It's a Malay word also. And Nama, your name. It means you, your personalities. So Nama and Rupa, mind and body. You are a combination of 2 forms of energies, reacting with each other, creating what we call a psycho-physical being. Psycho, mind, physical, body. So we are a combination of 2 forms of energy interacting here. The only thing that it was so dense, binded together, giving you a form, and therefore you identify this form as Brother Charlie Chia. You name him. You identify him. But actually, if you were to look it with the absolute eyes, it is just a burning flame here. 2 forms of energy reacting and running across each other. What you see here is a body, and what causes it to move around and reacting accordingly is called the mind. Now, where is your mind? Can you tell me where your mind is? Is it in your brain? Is it at the tip of your finger? Is it in your heart? And is it in your stomach? Sometimes we say, watch your mind. Where do you watch? You watch your breathing, your lungs. And when you are watching your breathing in your lungs, where is your mind at that time? The mind is in the lungs. And when you are watching the rising and falling of the stomach, then where is your mind? Your mind is in your stomach. Now I want to give you a very simple exercise so that you can know where your mind is. Now all you have to do is take 2 fingers and put it on your hand. Now focus. Use your mind to focus. This is to calibrate you. Now feel your finger touching the hand. Feel your finger touching your hand. Without moving, feel your hand being touched by your finger. Feel your hand being touched by your finger. Change back. Feel your finger being touched by your hand. Change again. Feel your hand being touched by your finger. Okay? You can rest now. When I say feel your finger being touched by your hand, where is your mind? Finger or hand? Feel your finger being touched by your hand. Where is your mind? Finger or hand? How many people say finger? And how many say hand? When you feel your hand being touched by your finger, where is the focus of your mind? Where do you focus your mind on? Is it on the finger or on the hand? Difficult, isn't it? So let me correct you and calibrate you. When you feel your finger being touched by your hand, your mind is on your finger. Because your mind is focused on the feeling at your finger being touched by something, which is called the hand. Then when I say switch, now feel your hand being touched by your finger. Your mind is now on your hand being touched by something. You can feel the touch. And that is your finger. So without even changing the postures, without changing the action, your mind shifts between finger and hand. Same thing when I say feel the breath. Where is your mind? Your mind is on your... Is it on your home, your laundry and your washing machine that you forgot to switch off when you came here? Is it on the shoes that you left at the rack there, that whether you have been placed properly or not? No, your mind is on your breathing. Breathing in, breathing out. And that's how we focus. And using this focus, we build the concentration. Concentration. That means you concentrate and you think of nothing else except only the breathing, except only the feeling of the finger, except what we call the rising and falling of your stomach. And that sharpens your mind. And when you sharpen your mind and feel concentrated and focus so concentrated that you can rest on the subject and analyze the subject without running away from another subject. So therefore, you then is able to analyze it according to its steps and watch its momentum and watch its moment by moment, step by step, tier by tier. And that's how we analyze things. If you do not have that sharpened mind, you will not be able to analyze things. But one of the best product of concentration is that when your mind is fully concentrated, the mind then settles down. The mind then becomes peaceful and become calm, and thus creating what we call a bliss arising. And therefore, you have a rested, relaxed, peaceful, and calm mind. And that is also what we are looking for. In times of difficulties, we want to settle down. And as we settle down, all the defilements and all the dirts and all the sediments will then slowly settles down to the bottom. Imagine a goldfish bowl full of murky water. Lots of sediments twirling around. And the more you turn, the more murky it becomes. Stop turning and allow the water to stop twirling. And then as it slows down, the sediments then starts to settle. And as the sediment settles more and more, the water becomes clearer and clearer. Now can you see through the goldfish bowl? You are able to xiang tong. You are able to see through things. You are able to analyze in clarity. And that is the potential of our mind. Of course, we have another practice, we call it vipassana or mindfulness. Now, what do you mean by mindfulness? Again, like I always like to use the example of the monkey. Our mind is like a monkey, right? And the monkey runs round and round. In other words, your mind is not settled. You may be here, but your mind is somewhere else. You may be meditating, breathing in, breathing out, but only for 5 seconds. And the mind goes somewhere, thinking of something else. And then, hey, hello, I should not be thinking of this, come back. So it's like the monkey, you ask him sit, and he will sit in one spot for a while. And after a while, it becomes fidgety, it becomes restless, and it starts to run away. You catch hold of the monkey again, and you put it back on the seat and say, sit, don't move. And the monkey kwai, come back and sit. After that, run again, catch back, sit. And that is a very tough job, isn't it? That's why meditation is so tiring. Catching the monkey all the time. And finally, you are able to then settle the monkey and say, sit. And the monkey really sits. It sits for 5 minutes. Oh, very good. It sits for 10 minutes without running away. Very good. It sits for 30 minutes without running away. Very good. And finally, if you can do it for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, without any disturbance, see the amount of concentration. Then that's called samatha. But mindfulness means, instead of asking the monkey to sit in one chair, we now ask the monkey to sit within a 4 chair. There are 4 kursi. You know, the monkey has one seat here, and then the monkey comes in, go out, monkey comes out. Now I arrange 4 chairs in a circle, and the monkey can only run within this circle. And when the monkey runs from this chair to this chair, you watch where is the monkey. And that is called mindfulness. You're mindful of where the monkey is. And the 4 chairs are called the 4 bases of mindfulness. Sati Patana. 4 sati. Focused on the base that you have. Kaya nupassana. Vedana nupassana. Citta nupassana. And Dhamma nupassana. Which means to say that your mind is watchful of your body. Rupa nupassana. You are moving your hands. You are walking. You are breathing. These are the movements that you are mindful of where your body. You can feel your buttocks touching the cushion as you sit. You can feel your hand moving. You can feel the breathing. You are aware and mindful of your body. The second one, mindful of your feelings. Oh, you're feeling warm. You're feeling cold. You're feeling pain. And the pain comes because you're sitting for too long. And your leg starts to get numb. But in Vipassana meditation, you are not supposed to move your leg. Even if the pain comes, enjoy it. Watch it. And see the pain goes up. Are you, very painful, very painful. And then watch, it reaches its climax. And then eventually the pain subsides. Oh, okay, now. And then the pain comes back again. Like your stomach ache when you are traveling on the car. The stomach ache comes. I must find a rest area to ease myself. But then you say, after a while you feel better. Then you can go a little bit further. But as you move, again the pain comes up. I think ladies understand this very well. Your pain comes and goes during childbirth. So therefore you are now watching over the pain and watching over the itchiness, watching over the feelings in your body. That's called Vedana Nupassana. Citta Nupassana means watching over your thoughts. What comes to your mind? Suddenly there's a thought of a color orange. You see orange. Then it sort of you're watching. I'm thinking of orange. Or I'm thinking of an apple. Or I'm thinking of Bandar Uttama Vihara. Your thoughts arises. You are now watchful of the thought. But then you develop on that thought. Orange. That means the color of the robe of the monk. They are coming to Bandar Uttama Buddhist Vihara this Sunday. I must do what we call dana. I must go and withdraw ATM machine in order to get some money to go to market. I must go and buy this. It goes into a story. So you are now watchful where your mind leads you. And that is called Dhamma-inspired. So your mind can only revolve within these 4. And they runs in this 4 chair, and you are watchful. And you become very mindful of what you do, very mindful of what you feel, very mindful of what you think, and very mindful of how the story develops. You get your alertness, you get your sanity, you get your what you call full concentration and understanding as you watch the rising and falling. And that is why eventually you get insight through this method. And that is called Vipassana. Vipassana means insight. You realize that there is nothing permanent. Impermanence. There's no permanent entity for you to grasp. And if you grasp on something permanent, but it becomes impermanent, then you are going to be unsatisfied. Anicca, impermanence. Anatta, no permanent entity for you to grasp. Dukkha means if you are attached to a permanent entity and it becomes non-permanent, then you are going to be disappointed. So when you begin to understand this correctly, your whole perspective of life becomes totally different. There is actually nothing for you to grasp. Nothing for you to be unduly disturbed and unduly worried, because it keeps on changing. It is impermanent. And there is what you call no permanency in everything you see and you experience. Allow it to flow. As it flows, you just watch it. That reduces a lot of tension. That reduces a lot of stress and confusion and delusion in our minds. Then the minds becomes clearer and clearer as this insight arises, as this realization arises. And finally, when you're attached to nothing, it is called nirvana. Nibbana means no condition, no attachment, and no more clinging, and no more craving. The eradication of craving. So as we said, you are now comprised of 5 aggregates. The mind comprised of 4, and the body comprised of 1. So body is one of the aggregate, or one of the bundles of energy, combined with another 4 bundles of energy. We call it Vijnana, Sanya, Vedana, Sankhara, which is consciousness, perceptions and connections, feelings and mental formations. I am conscious. I'm alive. And I can experience things. I'm awake. My eyes can see, my nose can smell, and I can move. Then I recognize, oh, this is brother so-and-so, this sister so-and-so, this is Bandar Uttama Buddhist Vihara. Perception. And as you recognize, you feel good, you feel happy, you feel nice, you feel comfortable. And when you feel nice and comfortable, then you decide what to do. And that is mental formations. You start to form thoughts as a result. And these are what we call the 4 faculties of our mind. And these 4 faculties is how we live, how we experience, and how we realize that we are a living being. Then we have this rupa. This is a form. But this body of form comprised of what we call the 4 elements. Just now was 4 faculties. Now is 4 elements. What are the 4 elements? Earth, water, wind, fire. Correct? We are comprised of earth, water, wind, and fire. In Chinese, we say, what do you call it? The earth tu, sui, feng, fo. Of course, there is another one called earth. If you go to Mahayana Buddhism, there will be 5 instead. 5 elements. But in the Pali Canon, it is only classified as 4. So 2 is actually part of earth. Now imagine that earth is actually particles, molecules. And imagine that these molecules and particles are like a heap of flour. You know flour? Tepung. So you put the tepung onto the table. And then you blow. What happened to the flour? And it's actually all over. If you can have ability to see the dust in in the atmosphere and in the air. You can see them flying around. If this room is totally dark, and I shine a torchlight, you'll be able to see it dancing in front of you. But in order to have a form, you add water to the flour, isn't it? And then you knead it. Water gives what we call the binding factor. It binds, it attracts. It makes all the molecules and everything attracts to each other, and thus creating what we call a dense formation. And that is called the body. So you have earth, you have water. Now when all these molecules or atoms, because we are just basically a mass of molecules and atoms, and protons, electrons, and neutrons. Because if you were to break down your body, you're comprises of magnesium, potassium, calcium, and you break them further up, it's actually molecules. You break them further up, it's actually atoms. You break them further up, it's actually protons, neutrons, electrons, and they are little balls of energy. And because of this, they attract to each other due to their electromagnetic qualities. And then when they start to attract and repel, because if they are like poles, they attract. If they are what they call different poles, they repel. So they attract and repel. And thus create what we call motion. That's why our hearts now start to pump. Our blood starts to flow. Our stomach starts to digest. And that is called wind element. Feng. Of course, there are many types of feng. Zhong feng also got. Tao feng also got. And this is the wind that is creating all that we are moving. That's why we are alive now. And as all this starts to bang against each other, attract, contract, expand, you create what we call heat, because there is a lot of fusion going on. That creates fire. Heat is fire. So earth, water, wind, and fire. Now that our heart is pumping, we are moving, we are having body temperature, sometimes they go haywire. You have more fire now. What happened? Fever. You have more wind now. Wah, patotia. If you have more what you call earth, very obese. You have a lot of water, very lampong. The four elements must be balanced. And that's why the crux of our traditional medicine is that whenever a person is sick, they don't fight bacteria, they don't fight virus. They just balance the elements. If there's fire, put more water. If there's water, dry it out, put more fire. And that's how you do a balance. Once the body is balanced in its elements, it has that potential to expel the virus, expels the pain, expels the wind, expels the bacteria. Inflammation is actually a blockage of energy. Correct? When you have pain, it's because of inflammation. So it all derives from all this balance. Now, at the same time, when you have these four elements, it will come a point in time, as our body is impermanent, we will deteriorate, we will grow old, we will become dysfunctional, we will become sick, and eventually one day it will break up. There is impermanency in this combination. And when it starts to decompose, what happens when a person dies? First is that there is no more motion, no more wind. The heart stops pumping, the blood stops flowing, and everything goes to a halt. When there is no more motion and no more wind, then there's no more clashing and banging of the elements. Thus, you don't have any more heat. Touch the body, is cold. Then the body starts to dehydrate. The water starts to dissipate. Then there is no more binding factor. Then the earth will then disintegrate. From dust you come, to dust you return. So your body goes back to dust. But what happens to the mind? The mind then goes on attaching itself to another rupa. And that one is a subject of another talk. So therefore, when you have rupa and nama, let us now move into the 5 niyamas. This body and this physical form and this mind of ours has to work within 5 cosmic orders, or the natural laws, we call it. Which means the laws that governs the energies in this universe. And we have to align ourselves in order to shape our lives. And that's why it's important to understand this. First, of course, is the Uttu Niyama, which is called the physical inorganic order. Physical inorganic order means that when you have seasons, it is a natural phenomena. It is a cycle. You will have now winter, but you will be followed by spring. And spring will then be followed by summer. And summer will then be followed by autumn. And then will then be winter back again. And it goes round and round. And the moon will then revolve around the earth. The earth will then revolve around the sun. And it revolves, the moon revolves every 28 days without fail. You have the new moon, you have the full moon. And the earth will then revolve around the sun for 364.5 days. Thus creating what we call 1 year. And it goes round and round, and this cycle goes round. So, Uttu Niyama talks about cycles. That every one of us adapt to a cycles. And as long as we don't understand this cycle, we will challenge it, we will fight it, we will get disturbed by it. But as we understand this cycle, we know when to adjust ourselves. So that's how we shape again our lives. Bija Niyama talks about germinal order. Germinal order means when you plant a mango seed, you get a mango tree. When you plant a durian seed, you get a durian tree. You cannot plant a mango seed and get a durian tree. You cannot have a human being and a human being to get a dog. It has to be a human baby. This is natural orders, germinal orders. And therefore it goes in this sequence, but because of our ingenuity, sometimes we can change it. We can plant a mango tree which bears mango fruit and smells like durian. So you have the best of both worlds. Cannot, you think cannot? You get what you call coconut mango. You get, the one you're going to get durian mango. Genetic modifications. And the moment we tamper with genetics, be careful. You are going to disturb the order of nature. And when you disturb the forces and the order of nature, it will come back and hit you. When you try to disturb the order of the cycles, then it will come and hit you. If we pollute the earth, if we disturb and warms the earth, we will have to face the consequences as they builds up a potential to hit you. And that brings us up to Karma Niyama. Karma Niyama talks about action and reaction. And the moment you have an action, there will be an equal and opposite reaction, and that's how rocket move. And that's how we have to learn about this in order to behave ourselves. That if you don't want bad things to happen in our lives, then don't do bad deeds. But if you want to have a lot of good benefits and rewards in our life, then do a lot of good deeds. Be generous. So therefore, order of karma is that we must understand this in order to refrain ourselves from doing certain things which we should not be doing, and we should encourage ourselves to do certain things that we should be doing. And therefore, we shape again our lives according to it. Chitta Niyama is the order of the mind. In other words, Our mind behaves in a natural order. That's why we can study it, because we can see the trend. We can see the behavior. We can see how it will respond and how it will react. That's why you have the subject of psychology. And the Buddha is actually an expert in psychology, understanding our human mind and how we behave. And therefore, when we are able to know that our mind can only do certain things at certain times, then we better go according to that order. One thing at one time. If you're happy, you are not unhappy. If you are unhappy, you are not happy. You cannot be happy and unhappy at the same time. That one sudah siao liao, huh? Sometimes laugh, sometimes cry, you know. So therefore, if you want to be happy, what must you do? Don't be unhappy lah. And if you want to be unhappy, then don't be happy. So if you want to continuously be happy, then always dwells on the thoughts that arise in you that will give you happy thoughts, good thoughts. So therefore, moving away from all the unhappy thoughts, moving away of all the misery thoughts. A lot of people say that is 逃避. You are trying to run away. No, you are just conditioning your mind. That's why we always say, always dwell on happy thoughts. Don't worry, be happy. And therefore, you will find that with a happy mind, positive thoughts, happy thoughts, it will attract happy events and positive events. The law of attraction, whether you like it or not. Dhamma-niyama basically talks about miracles. The Buddha always dispense away with supernatural. He said nothing is supernatural. Miracles are natural processes. When that condition arises, that phenomena will happen. You go out into the garden, you stretch your arm and you look at your orchid plant. Got flower. This orchid plant never blossomed one. Finally one sprout come out. Good omen or bad omen? The vibrations in the air is a happy vibration, is a positive vibration. And it will then create the right condition. And this plant was waiting for that right condition, only it will blossom. If it doesn't, then the condition is not right. Same thing with karma. When you have sown good seeds, it dwells inside this mental stream. The mind is an energy. And karma is the momentum of the energy. The inertia that is pushing. Whether it's a good inertia or good potential, whether it's a bad inertia or bad potential. It is actually pushing and molding. But if you have a lot of bad deeds, or bad actions, or bad thoughts, or bad speeches, then it creates a potential, a seed which is a potential that runs here waiting to germinate. So you must provide the right soil. If you are positive, happy, calm, peaceful, your mind is in that state. That condition is suitable for which seed to grow or which seed to germinate. Your good seeds. But when your mind is desperate, angry, unhappy, very remorseful, that mental states or negative states will be conducive for your bad seeds to arise. So therefore, when someone comes and talk to you and give you positive vibes, give you encouraging thoughts, conditioning you to have pleasant minds, and then something good happen, because you have the confidence, because you have the belief, because you have the inspiration, something good happen. Is that a miracle? Is that 贵人? Is that what we call something which is unforeseen that has actually allowed these good events to happen? Is that supernatural? No. It's part of a natural process or natural law. And these 5 niyamas basically talks about natural laws. As long as we observe, understand and observe natural laws and live in harmony with natural law, you'll be free from the consequences and repercussions or punishment of natural law. Every religion talks about this. As long as you obey the law of God, you'll be free from His punishment. As long as you obey the laws of Allah, you'll be free from the wrath of Allah. As long as you obey the law of nature or natural laws, you'll be free from the consequences of nature. So when our mind is having that kind of potential to be able to adapt and says, yes, I am facing a difficult time, but let me change the condition, because these are bad seeds that is germinating and blossoming, causing me to be in states of miseries. When you change it to a positive state, calm yourself down. Give yourself that space. Be what you call happy. Think of happy things, think of good things. That will then arise all the conditions for your good karmic seeds to ripen and take effect and overwhelm. And because the bad seeds now finds the nitrogen not there anymore, it will then subside. Not the end. If it's unfinished, it will hibernate in that stream and waiting for the next conducive condition to arise, which you never give it a chance. Until the last day when you attained enlightenment and Nibbana, that potential could still be there, but it has no more entity to act on. That is the eradication of the karmic effects of your karma. So if you understand this, then you will understand the Four Noble Truths. That means the law of the Four Noble Truths basically gives us the confidence that we can resolve all our problems. Nothing is unsolvable. Nothing is not being able to be overcome. Because as long as we get this formula, we will be able to 解决这个问题. What do you mean? First, yes, I am suffering. I am in the state of misery and uncomfortableness. I am facing this difficulty in my life. Second noble truth, what was the cause of the dukkha? The cause is because you must be attached to something which you don't want to change. Something that you want it to last forever. Something that will keep on happening to you, but it doesn't. Something that is supporting you all the time, but suddenly fizzles out. You must be attached to a phenomena that you want to exist. You want it to exist permanently. But because you realize anicca, anatta, dukkha, then you say all phenomena are impermanent. There's nothing permanent for me to grasp and hold and say this is mine, this is ours, and this is going to continue forever. It will not be eternal. And when you're able to accept that impermanence, able to accept that changes that is taking place, then you have prepared to let go. You are prepared to 放开, 放下, renounce, and not get attached to it. The cessation of the arising of dukkha. The cessation of the cause of dukkha. Third noble truth. And because if you were to stop attaching yourself to the item and cease from it, then it has no more cause to give rise to the dukkha that you are facing. The problem was resolved. But Suma ini senang cakap tapi susah membuat. Yeah. You are right. But when the problems happen, what to do? So we have to train ourselves, we have to discipline ourselves, we have to control all these defilements and all these attachments, all this clinging. And the only way to do it is through a discipline. And the Buddha knew it very well. That's why he introduced us the fourth noble truth, which is the way and the path leading to the cessation of the arising of dukkha. And what is the path? The noble eightfold path, the magga. Now what is the noble eightfold path? Right understanding, right thought, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, right speech, right action, right livelihood, basically divided into three. Your base of morality, which is the foundation, and your development of your concentration, which is developing your mind, training your mind, condition your mind, exercise your mind, and keep on giving it that inspiration, that confidence. And finally, when it arises, and you begin to see vipassana, you will then have panya, wisdom, the ability to have the right understanding of all things and developing into the right thoughts, controlling your mind. And if you are able to control that mind, then you're able to control your life. So that is the mind potential. And that's how we use this potential to then shape ourselves, to discipline ourselves, and to develop that sense of peacefulness, calmness, and happiness, and contentment, and simplicity in our lives. Because there's no point attaching to too many things. There's no point become unduly worried over too many events. Because everything eventually will come back to nothing. We all came to this world naked. And most of us eventually end up also going back, never bring up anything. So why are we so attached to order? Why are we fighting in Hamas and Israel? Fighting for territory, fighting for power. So therefore, not only does mindfulness gives you the potential to understand things, it also gives you a lot of mental health. That's why I mentioned the word sanity. You maintain your sanity, you maintain your alertness when you have mindfulness. And that is important in our lives. And a lot of people say that when you have a lot of meditational practice, very little chance of becoming dementia. Because you keep on remembering things. And as you remember and you watch things, your mind is active. When your mind is active, you are exercising it. Not only do you exercise your body, you also exercise our mind, rather than lull away and looking at the wall in our final days with nothing to do and nobody to talk to. Talk to yourself. Meditate and understand the body, understand the mind. So these are the benefits of meditation. First, at the moment now, the meditation is not giving you a solution that is going to have at the end of our lives. It practically gives us all the benefits as we live on in current moments of time. So therefore, this mental culture, whenever you have a chance, don't miss it. And this is actually the foundation of our Buddhist training, is that the moment the mind is controlled, the mind is in what you call good states, positive states, you will have a lot of good things that will happen. So let me move. I finished up with so now I want to talk about this very powerful concept which deals with your mental states. And this is called the power of now. Now this has been taught by the Buddha. Of course, Eckhart Tolle, which is a German in Sweden who wrote this book, developing on the concept of the living in the present moment. And I think for those of you who are good followers of Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh, this is his core teaching. Realize deeply that the present moment is all you have. Make the now your primary focus in your life. Unhappiness is created whenever you are out of alignment with the present moment. Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. The past is long and gone. Can you change it? But of course, use it as a lesson that you have experienced this, and it becomes a good lesson for you how to move forward. The future is yet to come. Can you do something about it? You can't. So what is most important is, what are we doing now? What we are doing now justify our past, because we are from our past. We came from the past. And what we are, if we are happy, we justify the efforts that we have did in the past. But what we do now will mold us what we will be in the future. Eventually, if you want to be somebody, if you want to be what you call happy, if you want to have the good benefits of life, what are you doing now? That's why the first method of meditation is very simple. When you sit down, cross-legged, ask yourself this question: what am I doing now? I'm sitting, I'm breathing, I'm listening, and therefore you are at peace. Are you thinking of the bad things? Are you thinking of the bad events? Are you thinking of the unhappy thoughts? Are you thinking of all the negativities? No. Your mind suddenly turns into focused. And the present moment is the most important moment in our lives. That's why we always tell the marketeers, when you look at your client, when you look at your customer, they are the most important moment. Don't distract yourself. Because they are the one who will be focused on them. And eventually the sale will succeed depending on how you focus on them. So the present moment basically justifies the past and prepares us for the future. And therefore what we do now will be the most important moments in our life. So as long as we are having that understanding, you are actually in the present all the time. When I'm walking, when I'm talking, when I'm listening, when I'm sitting, when I'm moving, when I'm thinking, when I'm talking. Therefore, when you are mindful, you are in the present moment. And that's why mindfulness meditation helps us into understanding and the practice of this. Lao Tzu says, if you are depressed, you live in the past. If you are anxious, that means you are living in the future. If you are at peace, then you are in the present. So, a lot of time we worry, oh, last time I never do this, last time I do that, And then future is whether I should do this, whether I should do that. No. What are you doing it now? Are you doing something about it now? Are you practicing now? Are you taking an action to move in the right direction now? Just do it. So Nike did very well on this. Calming our mind by staying in the present. For those of you who have joined his walks, you practically just walk. And it's just as present moment is walking. Are you thinking of the money that you're going to make? Are you thinking of the car that you're going to buy? Are you thinking of all the other events? No, you are just walking and enjoying your walk. When the monks are sweeping the floors in the morning, they are not only exercising their body, they are living in the present. I am sweeping. I am sweeping. I am sweeping. Oh, very fast, sweep already. But if you are sweeping, other people sweep so little, I sweep so much. You start to compare, you're in the rat race. And then, of course, you get miserable, you get disappointed, you get very jealous and unhappy. Present moment is a wonderful moment. And this is a very famous painting that he had. And a lot of people hang it in their office, in their studies. Happiness is here and now. When you say breathing in, I calm my body and mind. Breathing out, I smile. Dwelling in the present moment, this is the only moment. Right? So a lot of practice that you can actually read, right? And sometimes become inspired by this. Okay, as I mentioned just now, that these three characteristics is a very important philosophy. That as long as we don't realize the three characteristics, we are not enlightened. A lot of time we meditate and meditate and meditate. And we ask ourselves, am I enlightened? You should ask yourself this question. Can you see impermanence? Can you see non-permanent entities? And can you see the attachment of non-permanent entities is going to make you disappointed? I'll give you a simple story of a little monk. Very enthusiastic little monk. He heard from many of the teachers that there is one master, is a Zen master, who teaches meditation and can give what we call sudden enlightenment. In Japanese, you call it satori. So he went to that master and says, Master, I heard you are very famous and that you can give instant enlightenment. I would like to have the instant enlightenment. Seeing the enthusiasm, the master says, okay, good. Tomorrow morning when you come, you go and sit beside the stream and watch the stream, and you will get sudden enlightenment. Watch the stream only? Yeah, just watch the stream. So the next morning he came, there's this stream of running water, and he sat at the stream and he watched the stream. Watching the stream, the water flowing and flowing and flowing. He watched. In the evening when he came back to the abbot and says, I watched the stream whole day. And the abbot asked, what do you see? Yeah, I watched water running only. And the stream was actually in constant motion. Then the abbot says, oh, sorry, you are still not enlightened. Go back and watch the stream. Then he went there and watched. Every day he watched. Every day he came back. When question is asked, he gave the same answer. 364 days he was watching the stream and he's still not enlightened. So on the 365th day, before he watched the stream, he tell himself, this is my last day. If I don't get any enlightenment, this seafood is hao xiao one. So on that last day, as he sat, while he was watching the stream, he then saw something. The sun was shining, and the water was running. And as the water was running and the sun was shining, the ripples of the water creates what we call reflections. And as the reflections reflects, then you see sparkles, very beautiful sparkles. And the sparkles is like a set of diamonds. And there was a set of sparkles appearing and appearing and appearing and appearing. And then he was looking at the set of sparkles and he was admiring the set of sparkles and says, that is a set of sparkles I want. Before he could finish it, that sparkles changed. 成佛了. What did he see? It was changing all the time. And there's one particular set or moment that he wants to hold. It couldn't because it changes the next moment. And therefore, if he were to be attached to that set of sparkles and refuse to let it go, he will be disappointed. Anicca, anatta, dukkha. So realization or enlightenment will only come when you have fully realized these three characteristics of phenomena. So we have to learn to adapt our life. Cannot be too dogmatic. Cannot be too, what you call, hard fast. Our mind must be what you call very open. 开放. That means we must have an open mind to accept. Don't be dogmatic and say, no, I must follow this way, I must follow this path, I must only follow this teacher. Learn. That's why as Theravada Buddhist, most of us are, we go from teacher to teacher, and like what the Buddha did, and learn as much as we can. we do not initiate under a guru. We do not initiate under a teacher and only learn from that teacher, because that teacher will always say that if you learn from others, then you disturb the way I'm teaching you. Well, he has his points, but at the end of the day, if we can learn the good points from all the array of teachers that we can come to experience, wouldn't that be a much better methodology? That's why Malaysia is a very fortunate country. We are a hotbed of what they call teachers that comes from overseas. A lot of Longpos, a lot of venerables, a lot of Bantes, a lot of Achans. Well educated, well learned, wise, and we learn, we listen. But again, open your mind. Do not get so engrossed and chase after that monk. We have this phenomena called monk chasing. So relationships is also a very important aspect of our shaping of our lives. Is that as we understand that we are all interconnected. Remember, you are just a mass of energy, yeah? A nama and a rupa. You are actually two bundles of energy reacting with each other. And these two bundles of energy is part of the energy that exists within this universe. Later on, if I were to give you a talk on the origin of the universe, you will realize that this universe is actually just one big mass of energy. And that big mass of energy transforms itself and changes over time. And it contracts and it expands. And as it contracts and expands, it's called one kappa. And as it expands, it creates a new universe. And as it contracts, it ends one universe. And then creating the next universe to arise. Thus creating what we call rise and fall, appear and disappear, rebirth is like this. So therefore, since we are part of this mess, anything that happens in this mess happens and affects us because we are part of it. If that energy is this, if imagine that this room is full of radioactive energies, can you escape from it? You can't. Your body energy will sync with that energy and then gets affected by it. Therefore, understanding that if we all can radiate metta here and create that vibrations, because energy is vibrations, and that energy permeates this room. Even if you come in full of anger and full of frustration and unhappiness, when this pleasant, positive, calm and peaceful energy permeates you, you also get synced with it. And thus, you also come down and become peaceful and happy. So if you are within happy people, you yourself will be happy. If you are with good people, you also become good. If you are with bad people, of course, you turn bad. So understanding this is how we should build our relationship. And that is how we do our Kalayana Mitras, where we learn our Buddhist fellowship and Buddhist brothers and sistershood. That we take care of each other, we create conditions for each other, we try to create the environment that is conducive for our practice, because it affects each and every one of us. And therefore, that gives us the incentive to try and nourish a good relationship, and that's what community is for. And Bandar Uttama Buddhist Center is actually a community by itself, and that's where we learn from each other, and that's where we start to practice together. Right? So the Buddha has always mentioned this in the Mangala Sutta. Now in the Mangala Sutta, there were 3 G's of it. It's called good friendship, vast learning, masterly skills, highly trained, disciplined, and pleasant speech, thus creating what we call blessings. Mangala means blessing. So if you want blessing, then dwell in these few qualities. And of course, filial piety is actually a very important aspect of our, though it is slowly fading and eroding out in the Western societies. Our Asian society, we have to keep on as part of our long tradition and nourish it and bring it up to the next level and the next tier. supporting father and mother, cherishing your wife, children, engaging in morally uncompleted occupation. These are the highest blessings. Liberality in your mind, open up your minds. Restraint in drinking intoxications. Diligence in things, when you take up something, be diligent, go for it, focus on it. Humility, simplicity, gratitude, and finally, of course, patience, obedience, seeing the holy man. Performing your dana is one of them. Be kind to each other. Be caring. And develop true friends. That's why I was talking to Brother Tan Abba this morning about setting up our age centers. Because Malaysia's population is getting old. In 2030, now it's 2021, 23, another 7 years' time, 20% of the population in Malaysia is going to be aged above 60. Less young people now, so now to go take care of old people. In Japan, it's worse. So because of that, we have to have these qualities of caring, true friends, and develop this until the final days. We are here together as a community. We need to take care of ourselves. And therefore, it is good that we propel ourselves to use this center for a good purpose. And even a daycare hub will be helpful to get all our elderly members to come together for some activities in the weekdays. Right? Even 5 hours, 6 hours, have a meal here, have some activity. Of course, maybe if you want to test your mind, learn some, what you call pseudo, or what you call, and some people say mahjong is also good. Otherwise, you'll be sitting at home looking at the wall, and that's what we always hate. So best friends are like diamonds, precious and rare, and this is community we will gather and live happily together. Of course, I would like to talk to the younger ones. The younger ones are actually in a rat race. Now, rat race always happens the moment you start to compare. Oh, why he got the car, why I don't have? Why he got a higher job and I don't have? The moment we start to compare, we stress ourselves, and that gives rise to a lot of stress. So therefore, we should now use the Buddha's teachings to actually help us to mold our minds, shape ourselves in order to try and reduce stress as much as possible. Cancer is on the rise, and cancer is only caused by 2 factors. Toxins in your body and stress that doesn't allow it to be discharged. We have so many orifices to discharge our toxins. But the moment there is what you call abnormalities caused by stress and inflammations, these toxins cannot be discharged. Therefore, it creates abnormal growth. And that's why you get your tumors. So when you have cancer, a lot of people say, okay, relax. If you have 6 months to live, spend these 6 months the best you can. Don't go into remorse. If you go into remorse and depression, 6 months become 3 months. But if you go into relaxation and peace of minds and learn how to mold your thinkings, shape your potential, mental potentials, that 6 months becomes 6 years. You call it a miracle? No. It's your mental potential. Now the cause of stress are all this. As you can see, very familiar. Work-related problem, family, relationship problem, financial problem, loneliness, health problems, death of a close person, especially your spouse, lack of sleep, and inclement weather. We are now talking more about pursuit of real happiness. A lot of time when we enjoy our new possessions, we are happy, yes, we are happy. But that possessions can only last for a short time. Before you got married, you say you are the happiest man in the world. after 7 years. Not so happy, huh? Why? Because your spouse changed. Remember, our body cells, they rejuvenate and rejuvenate and rejuvenate. Within 7 years, the whole body rejuvenated. So that person you marry is not the person you marry 7 years later. Of course, the mind changed, the body changed, grow old. The moment we say that happiness becomes fleeting, because you are attached to something which changes. But if you can accept the change, if you can manage the change, then you actually give rise to a bliss of mind. This is the happiest man in the world. Matthew Ricard. He was tested using all the electrodes. And doctors declare him the happiest man in the world. So he became famous after that. Of course, if you go to Bhutan, they call it the happy country. They measure the happiness, the success of the country by gross happiness index, not GDP. Gross happiness index. Because the people, though they are simple, they are having humble lives, they have very little needs and necessities, they are all very happy. So when we want to be happy, we must have these few things. The art of letting go. That means you must be able to let go things. You must manage change. Management of changes is actually a subject taught in Harvard. But in this case now is understanding the change and the crisis that we're going to happen, and then be able to accept crisis. Anger management is the one. Very important. A lot of us have anger in one form or another. We have to learn to manage this because anger destroys us. So why do you want to have that poison and nourish that poison? Feng Shui is the one that we understand the natural laws. When we understand how nature works, when we understand how energy flows, and then we align ourselves with the right energy flow, you'll be free from it. Now that is another subject which I love to talk about. Feng and Shui. Remember the 4 elements? And eventually how this whole universe is actually mobilized by the wind and the water. And if we can understand how it's been mobilized, and we live in accordance with it, we'll be free from the dangers of it. We'll be free from the repercussions of it. Laughter, have lots of laughter, have lots of fun. Watch Charlie Chaplin every day, if you can. Go and share jokes with your friends, and laugh. Laughter is the best medicine, because it is an art of relaxation. Positive thinking. Don't dwell in negative thinking. Be positive all the time. I can, I will try. And lastly, of course, knowing our mind. We cannot do too many things at one time. You become confused. Therefore, one step at a time is a very important practice. So with this, I hope that you have benefited and knowing the potential of your mind, and then learn how to shape your lives accordingly. Thank you very much.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. We will now open the floor for Q&A. So if you have a question for Datuk Charlie, kindly raise your hands and I'll bring the mic to you.
Morning, brother. You talk a lot about the mind. Is the mind also considered the soul?
When you say mind and soul, a lot of people relate it together. But when you say soul, what was in your mind? Is that it is something which is unchanging. That soul is you. And that soul likes to eat chicken taipei. When that soul leaves and goes to another body, that soul still likes chicken kai pei. Therefore, they maintain a permanency of phenomena. Mind is like a flame burning on a candle, and that candle is full of sodium. It's comprised of a lot of sodium. That flame will then burn in a yellow color. But when that yellow flame sits on that candle, which is diminishing and diminishing and diminishing until that candle cannot support the flame anymore, that flame then transmigrates to another candle which is now full of potassium. And that flame now burns in a blue color. Question asked is this flame which burns in the sodium, the same flame that burns in a potassium candle? Is it the same flame? The way it dances, the way it colors, the way it behaves, it is a new combination. And therefore, that flame is a different flame, nor the same. Which means to say, it derives its origin from the previous flame, but it is not the same flame that is burning in that new candle. So if you understand this, then you will know that there is a difference between reincarnation and rebirth. These are two terminology which we use in the Dhamma teachings. Reincarnation means you maintain the same personality. Rebirth, no. Now, we talk about 31 planes of existence. This existence, you are a human being. But because for some reason or other, your karma is not that conducive, next existence, housefly. But when you are born as a housefly or take birth as a housefly, you start from where? You start in the pile of shit as a maggot. This life, when you see the pile of shit. Next life, when you see the pile of shit, at first you are a bit disorientated. But after that, when you acclimatize yourself, that is good, nutrients, ma. You enjoy that pile of shit and you even sunbathe on the pile of shit. Your mind adapts. That's why we talk about adaptations. So therefore, different conditions will give rise to different mental perceptions. And therefore, you will then live on. A lot of times when we see young babies, when they are born, 2 days old, 3 days old, they suddenly smile. They suddenly cry. Have they got so much experience to enjoy their life until they smile and laugh? Sometimes, Or are they so miserable in these 3-4 days that they become so unhappy that they frown and they cry? Chinese folklore says there's this deity teaching them how to smile and how to cry. But their experience were very fresh. They just came from the other side. They still remember. And therefore, when they can remember the good events and the unhappy events, their expression shows it in that little baby. But as they grow up and more experienced, then that memories or that thoughts subsides, covered by new ones. All right? That's why we say, when the baby can remember, cannot talk. But when can talk, cannot remember. But sometimes later on, if we were able to trace ourselves back through our concentrated mind, you can slowly trace back what you did yesterday, same time, what you did 1 week ago. Focus. Concentrate. If you concentrate, you can move back. Because your memory is like that only. If you understand mind is like a waves in the ocean. The rising of a thought, the subsidence of a thought. And when the thought subsides, it did not end. The potential will then push another new thought to arise. And therefore, this new thought now comes from the previous thoughts, isn't it? Because it was from the previous thought. That's why the Buddha taught us paticca samuppada. Dependent origination. For every phenomena to arise, it owes its origin to the previous phenomena. For this phenomena to come up, it didn't come up on its own. It owes its phenomena to the previous phenomena. That's the reason why we have this concept called rebirth. We did not come here to this planet, what they call this human existence, just pop up like that, and then eventually ends up like that. We came from somewhere, and we are also going somewhere. If we have not come to a conclusion using the Four Noble Truths and end rebirth once and for all, called Niết-Bàn, that means no more birth or no more become. That one chima. But we will have to discuss it in another time.